Picture this. One music group from South Korea shows up in a city in Canada, and suddenly that entire city transforms. Streets get renamed. The mayor speaks out. Local media publish special reports. And the most jaw-dropping part, the economic impact is said to run into the hundreds of millions of dollars from just 2 nights of concerts. This isn't fiction. This is what's happening right now in Toronto, Canada, because of BTS. In this video, I'm going to break down everything. Where that jaw-dropping number actually comes from, how Toronto's government reacted, and why this phenomenon is being called BTSnomics by some economists. But don't worry, I'm not just throwing clickbait numbers at you. I've dug through multiple reports so you get an honest picture of what's really going on. Stick around, because the middle of this video is going to explain why the numbers circulating online isn't as simple as it looks. Alright, let's get into it. So here's the story. In 2026, BTS launched a world tour called Arirang, their first full-group world tour after reuniting following their military service. The tour spans Asia, Europe, and North America, hitting major cities like Goyang in South Korea, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, London, Paris, Tokyo, Singapore, and of course, Toronto. In Toronto specifically, BTS performed 2 consecutive nights on August 22nd and 23rd, 2026 at Rogers Stadium, Toronto's largest seasonal concert venue, holding roughly 50,000 fans per night. If you're not familiar with it, Rogers Stadium is a fairly new venue. Built on the former Downsview Airport lands, this stadium was specifically designed to host large-scale concerts. Since opening, it's already welcomed huge names like Coldplay, Oasis, Bruno Mars, Blackpink, Stray Kids, Guns N' Roses, and AC/DC. What makes BTS different is their fan base. Known as one of the most loyal and highest spending in the world, ARMY. This phenomenon even has its own term in economic media, BTSnomics. The term emerged because BTS fans don't just buy concert tickets. They fly across the globe, book hotels months in advance, buy merchandise, and spend heavily on experiences around the concert venue. Sometimes even without holding a ticket at all. They just want to soak up the atmosphere. One report even noted that BTS fans worldwide are estimated to have a combined spending potential reaching billions of dollars over the course of this tour. This combination of a massive fan base plus a venue the size of Rogers Stadium is exactly why so many parties, from city government to local businesses, predicted a significant economic impact for Toronto. Okay, this is the part everyone's curious about. Where does that hundreds of millions figure actually come from? Honestly, I want to invite you to think critically here, because the numbers circulating have a few different versions, and it's important we break them down one by one so we don't mix them up. First, several media outlets and marketing analysts have reported that each night of BTS concerts at Rogers Stadium is estimated to generate around $10 to $15 million in regional economic impact per show, covering revenue from accommodation, restaurants, transportation, and retail spending near the venue. Converted and multiplied across 2 nights, this roughly lines up with the hundreds of millions figure that's been going viral in headlines and on social media. Second, and this is where it gets interesting, Rogers Stadium itself, through its operator Live Nation Canada, just released an official report on the economic impact of its entire inaugural season. The number is massive, more than 500 million Canadian dollars in economic activity over one full season. That includes roughly $388 million in GDP contribution and around $115 million in federal and provincial tax revenue. But here's the crucial part. That $500 million figure isn't from BTS alone. It's the accumulated total from every concert held at that stadium throughout the season, including Coldplay, Oasis, Bruno Mars, BTS, and AC/DC. So if you see a headline claiming BTS alone brought $500 million, that's a bit misleading, because that number is the combined result of over a dozen concerts. Interestingly, that report also noted the venue supported the equivalent of more than 3,000 full-time jobs across hospitality, event production, transportation, and local supply chains, generating around $218 million in labor income. Third, For comparison, so you get a sense of scale, the previous year, Toronto also hosted Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. According to the city's official tourism agency, Destination Toronto, 6 nights of Taylor Swift concerts were projected to bring an economic impact of $282 million, including roughly $152 million in direct spending and around $40 million in tax revenue for the government. So comparing the two nights of BTS is obviously smaller in scale than 6 nights of Taylor Swift. But calculated per night of concert, the impact is still considered massive for a single music event. Here's the key point. The hundreds of millions figure used as this video's title most likely comes from the estimate specific to BTS's 2 Toronto shows, roughly $30-ish million, not from Rogers Stadium's full-season official figure of $500 million. These two numbers frequently get mixed up on social media, which is why it's so important to break them apart carefully so you don't get the wrong impression. Now let's get into the part that really made headlines. How did Toronto's city government actually react to this phenomenon? Turns out, their welcome was far more enthusiastic than you'd expect. Toronto's city government officially declared the BTS concert weekend as BTS Weekend. And it wasn't just symbolic. They also unveiled BTS Boulevard, a street temporarily renamed and decorated in the red color theme of the group's latest album. The street sign will stay up for a full month, giving ARMY fans from around the world a dedicated photo spot. One Toronto city councillor who spearheaded the street renaming expressed confidence that this move would provide a powerful boost to the local economy and attract tourists from around the world. Big Hit Music, BTS's management agency, also responded. They described the concert as evolving beyond a simple music performance into a massive mega-event with far-reaching, organic impact across many sectors. It wasn't just the city level either. The provincial government of Ontario also weighed in. Ontario's Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming stated that major events like those at Rogers Stadium play an important role in protecting Ontario's economy as a whole, attracting visitors, supporting local businesses, and creating good jobs. Even Toronto's mayor personally issued a statement. She said venues like Rogers Stadium are already delivering strong economic results for Toronto, creating jobs, supporting local businesses, and driving significant growth in its first season. She also expressed excitement for the seasons ahead, reinforcing Toronto's position as a world-class destination for live music and major events. Meanwhile, from the tourism side, the CEO of Destination Toronto also shared his perspective. According to him, people are increasingly willing to travel for moments that stay with them, whether that's a major concert, a can't-miss festival, or a defining sporting event. And Toronto, he said, is the place for those experiences, which is why the city needs large-scale venues like Rogers Stadium to attract the biggest acts in global entertainment. So it's safe to say Toronto's government reaction was far from ordinary. They fully embraced the momentum, from the city, to the province, to the official tourism body, all showing strong, unified support. But big numbers like these can feel abstract when they're just quoted in official reports. So it's worth looking at how the effect played out on a smaller scale, at local businesses around the venue. One report noted that a local coffee shop in North York, the neighborhood where Rogers Stadium is located, saw revenue increases of up to 20% on concert days. Just imagine, simply because a concert was happening nearby, a small local coffee shop's revenue could jump that much. This is consistent with the pattern seen when Taylor Swift performed in Toronto previously. Back then, hotels near the venue redecorated entire rooms with special themes to welcome fans. Restaurants created special menus. Souvenir shops were flooded with buyers. A very similar pattern likely played out in the lead-up to and during the BTS concerts as well. What makes the BTS phenomenon unique compared to other artists is the extreme loyalty of their international fan base. Some reports even noted fans from abroad, including from as close as Vancouver, willingly worked weeks of extra overtime shifts just to save up enough to fly out and stay in the host city for days, even before securing concert tickets. What they're chasing isn't just the concert itself, but the entire pre-concert experience. Meeting up with fellow fans, shopping for merchandise, and soaking in a city decked out in BTS-themed decorations. This is why economists call this kind of effect a multiplier economic impact. Money spent by fans doesn't just stop in one place, it keeps circulating. Fans spend at hotels, hotels pay their staff, staff spend that money elsewhere, and so on, spreading the effect across multiple sectors of the city. Before we wrap up this video, I think it's important to offer a more balanced perspective. It has to be acknowledged that economic impact, figures from major concerts like this, are often a subject of debate among economists. Some economists remain fairly skeptical of the methodology behind numbers like these. The reason is, economic impact calculations typically factor in a multiplier effect, where every dollar spent is assumed to keep circulating and generating additional value across various sectors. But exactly how large that multiplier effect really is in practice remains a matter of debate. For example, in Toronto itself, a city councillor once questioned the transparency of Rogers Stadium's first season economic impact report. He said it remained unclear whether the venue's early operational issues, like accessibility or logistics problems, had actually been meaningfully addressed ahead of the following season, even though the economic impact figures looked impressive on paper. So, as smart viewers, it's important that we don't just swallow whatever number shows up in a headline. The hundreds of millions figure is genuinely based on real data and reports, but the context needs to be understood carefully. Is it the number specific to the 2 BTS shows, or the accumulated total for the venue's entire season? And does the calculation methodology meet widely recognized standards? What's undeniable, regardless of the debate over the exact figure, is this: BTS's presence in Toronto genuinely created a wave of economic activity you could feel directly, from fully booked hotels to packed restaurants, to a street renamed just to welcome fans from all over the world. So to sum everything up, BTS's concerts at Rogers Stadium in Toronto on August 22nd to 23rd, 2026 did bring a significant economic impact to the city, from international fan spending to local businesses cashing in to tax revenue for the government. Toronto's city government responded with huge enthusiasm, going as far as declaring a BTS weekend and renaming a street BTS Boulevard. But when it comes to the exact economic impact figure, we need to be careful distinguishing what's specific to BTS alone versus what's the accumulated total from the venue's entire concert season. What is clear, though, is that this BTSnomics phenomenon shows just how powerful a global music fandom's economic force can be. Powerful enough to get special attention even from a city government the size of Toronto. What do you think? Will economic impacts like this continue for future major concerts? Or is this just a short-lived wave of excitement that'll fade once the tour ends? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more interesting news about entertainment and the global economy. See you in the next video. Bye-bye, waving hand.